Hey, welcome back to another episode. So excited, as always, to join you for another topic on getting into corporate contracts, growing your business in this way. And today we're going to be talking about crafting winning proposals. I love this topic for one, because it just reminds me of my days that I've started out in this process of B2B sales. And I've told this story before, but I started out, this was literally my very first like real job, learning how to sell to the C suite, going on campuses. I sold to universities for a large part of my career and some government entities as well. And I would be, going up to these campuses as a 22-year-old woman, trying to figure out how to navigate some of these spaces, especially in technology where people really know their stuff, right? And I will be a self proclaimed person that is a creative and I understand technology, but my zone of genius is in the areas of marketing, sales, all the creative sides and relationship building. And so going into some of those conversations to put together this proposal where they'll be paying, $400,000, $1 million over the course of the year, whatever that looks like. Going to present this can, of course, as you can imagine, be a little daunting as you're going out and starting that process. But where I continue to see success is just the years, and more years of continuing to do it, hit my head on walls, got mentored by people who have been in this space for so long, and was able to kind of develop my own comfort around pitching and winning contracts. And so, something that's so interesting, I love to start these out with a little reflection and a little story. We're going to get into the topic, don't you worry. But one thing that really comes up for me with this is I really set aside a lot of my experience that I had in corporate, though I had success. And again, it was a large part of my life and the skill sets that I was able to create. I think what kind of stuck a pin in it for me was when I decided that the way that I was doing this didn't just line up with me anymore. It just didn't. The travel at the time, I found out I was having my son and all the things. And I was just like, okay, I did this. I conquered a lot of fears. I took, an opportunity that was placed in front of me, put, everything I could into it, but it just got to a point where personally it was just no longer a fit. So as I transitioned out of that, I really began to like put all those skills aside. And I'm just kind of looking back on that like, wow, at times we feel that through our corporate careers, some of those things weren't translated because of whatever, experiences that we've had, and we're just wanting to close the book on it. And now, as I am stepping more into this space of really talking about like, no, I actually have done a lot of these things that I'm sharing with you and that I do in my business today way back years before I was even online, knew about a coaching business, any of that. I was closing six-figure deals. And now to come back and say like, hey, here's how you guys can do it too. And here's all the things that I learned. Here's what the big companies are doing to close these contracts and how this translates to the business that we're doing, which are on the way to being these big companies as well. It just is a very cool full circle moment. I'm not sure if any of you have had that experience as well. But just to let you guys know, even as you're going after corporate contracts, think about the things that you have experienced in your corporate career, even if it ended on a bad note, or you have some corporate trauma around it, or whatever may be, or again you just decided that this no longer was an option for you, and you just decided to close the door on it. Think about the skill sets and the experiences, because I say, from sitting here on this side of the computer and sharing my experiences with you guys, if it wasn't for those experiences that I had, those times where I was frustrated, those times when, the sales weren't coming through like I wanted them to, and when I was doing all the things, making all the calls, doing all the visits, and everything didn't pan out, all of those times were worth it, because now not only did I get to experience success there, I get to impact you all, and I get to be able to take those skill sets that I learned and do them in my own way. So I know we're talking proposals today, but again, I like to, when I think of the topic and I go back and I'm like, how did I get to this? And what were all the things that I went through? I'm like, wow, I had like some really good, solid experiences that led me up to this point. And I'm glad that I broke out of the mindset of, okay, I'm done with this corporate stuff. So let me go and do something completely, totally different that can just cleanse my palate of all of that. And while that works, you can still extract the skills, right? The skills are yours to own. And that's what this whole business and platform is about, is helping people really take ownership of their skills and be able to position them to opportunities like corporations, but just overall taking ownership of what it is that you've built and seeing yourself as the asset, as the company, right? And you're shopping your skills around to different organizations that could be a good fit. So don't leave any skills on the table. Everything that you've accomplished, no matter how it ended, bring it into what you're doing today, as long as it's something that energizes you and something that you enjoy. I enjoyed talking to people. I enjoyed having meetings and closing deals and doing roadmap conversations and even doing proposals like we're going to talk about today. And it was just the structure in which I was doing it didn't align with my personal life. And so rather than just erase the whole thing, my brain over the last few weeks and over the last few years, honestly, have been thinking about how can I take those same experiences and turn them into something I enjoy doing. I enjoy teaching you guys. I enjoy coming here every Wednesday and sharing what I went through in order to be successful. So continue to think about that. It doesn't just have to be the obvious. Oh, I was in, marketing, so I have to go and do marketing the same way that I did it in my company. Do it in your own way and package it up and present it to an audience that can benefit from it exactly the way that you want to teach it or that you want to deliver it. So that's my first piece of K advice for you guys that you can take on your journey. But let's get into what we're talking about today. So if this is your first time here, my name is Kirsten Allen. I am a corporate contract strategist and leadership development training for corporations. And on here, I help entrepreneurs be able to land more corporate contracts in their business through several different frameworks. But overall, my proprietary framework is the 3D method. And it's all about helping individuals be able to establish what they wish to achieve, like getting into these large corporations, getting the resources that they need to be able to develop winning offers, proposals, and strategies that help them get into corporations. And then ultimately, I help them with creating an action plan to make sure that they're connecting with the individuals who are best fit for their services, and you're mastering the marketing and sales strategies along the way. So that is a little synopsis into what I do and how I do it. And every week we're here at 4 p.m. Eastern, and we're talking about all things related to corporate contracts, whether that is proposals, marketing on LinkedIn, having the in-person meetings, doing the outreach. All of those things is what you can expect to see here every week. So if you're new, make sure you continue to tune in and also go back. We've been doing this all year. So there are over 25 episodes that I have published on different topics that you can dive into on here on my page, either on YouTube or on Facebook. All right, so excuse me. Let's talk about winning corporate proposals. So in the beginning, I told you guys about how, and I have a tissue right here, great, about how this really goes back to several years ago when I started this process of selling to B2B and what proposals look like. So I did this pre-pandemic. So I did a lot of in-person travel to meet customers, of course, some virtual as well, but it was a component of both. We weren't doing all the Zoom and Google Meet at that time. It was more phone calls. And then, of course, we would have some meetings where we shared slides and things of that nature. But it definitely was before all of these platforms were on the rise. And so I say that to say a lot of our proposal conversations, some were virtual, but a lot were on the phone or either in person. And I think in terms of in-person conversations, that can, it depends on how you work. It can either be something that's more nerve-wracking, or it can be something that is energizing because you can actually feel what they're saying and being able to gauge their likeliness to move forward in the services or products, whatever you have put in front of them. Because selling to corporate, no matter what your offer is, it's all the same essential process. And so when we're thinking about creating a winning proposal, I want to make sure that one of the first things that I want to give you all is that the proposal is literally one of the last steps that you will do. And so a lot of times I hear people asking questions about, what do I put in my proposal, or what do I say, in this email that I'm going to put out? And I'm like, well, all your questions will be answered in terms of what to put in the proposal if you have a very clear marketing and sales process. If you've gathered information through what I call and what I work with clients to create is like my exit ticket progress. So bringing in my little teacher vibes, even though I was never a teacher, but that's one of my strengths that I've identified is I have this exit ticket. And before you get to the proposal, there are buckets that you have to check in order to make sure that you have a winning proposal that is likely to get a yes. And in those check marks, you want to really understand everything that you need to include in the proposal. And it's not from you thinking about it in your head. It's about you asking the right questions, making sure you have a full understanding of what the need is. So that can lead you to creating this winning proposal. The part about being a winning proposal is a proposal that identifies everything that was already shared with you up until this point. It is the culmination of you listening and co-creating an offer with the client. That's what the proposal should really demonstrate. It shouldn't be anything new on there. It should be no curveballs or no, we'll just put this on here and see what they think about it. Everything that there should be no surprises. It shouldn't be put before having a very thorough conversation about their needs and also understanding things like budgeting, timing, additional things that they might need down the line. All of those things should be very clear before you get to the proposal. So that's kind of a part of that exit list that I give to clients to ask on their discovery calls or any subsequent conversations they may have with the client before moving into the proposal phase. So that's the first kind of mindset shift that I want us to have, is that in order for a proposal to win, it should be a culmination of the discussions that we've had up to this point, and there should be no surprises. It should basically be at a point where you've gotten a soft yes, like a verbal yes, before you even move down the line of putting anything on paper. And why this is so important is because one thing that I see, and again, these are subtle nuances, right? The difference between, oh, I'm going to go ahead and send them a proposal before I gather all the information I need, is really the difference between them actually moving forward and saying yes and ghosting you. Because here's another thing with that. When you create these proposals that don't have the information that's needed, a good understanding that shows that is really more so based upon what you want to sell them versus what you've co-created with them, they're less likely to, one, go through it. And then two, they probably will have questions. They probably will see things that, again, they're not familiar with or didn't ask for, don't know what it is, whatever. There's too many questions. And that means that your proposal is either going to get pushed to, I'll look at this later, or again, this isn't something that we need. So let me move forward and find someone else who's better aligned. Let me tell y'all a real story. So I harp about doing market research more with my clients, but I think I've shared it here with you guys as well. I do market research myself for my own offers, but also so I can share some of these things with you guys. So you don't just hear my perspective, because I also was a buyer in corporations as well, but you get to hear the perspective of those who also have some buying power and have experienced people trying to solicit or sell things. And here's verbatim what she said. And I was like, I be trying to tell y'all, this is what they say. But she said one of the things that she finds to be a little challenging in terms of people who are looking to sell to her, or people that she's actually sought out, like had wanted to build a case to her higher ups to hire someone to do something in a particular area, a vendor outside of the company. She's gone to these people, and when, she's made her ask, I don't know how the conversation went and how they structured their process, but for whatever reason, they sent over something that was like way out of budget and scope of what the company needed at the time. And she said, I presented it to my people and essentially they didn't go for it. And I'm like, that's a missed opportunity. She said it herself. She said, one thing that I would advise to people as they're going to create opportunities or connect with corporations is to consider starting off small, right? Consider figuring out like what is the immediate need that they may have now and customize something to address that. And then once you get in the door and show value, there can be some opportunity to grow into some of those larger things. And she said, I found with these people that I reached out to, they had these large packages and weren't really flexible in terms of what we needed. And so it was pretty much a no. And I'm like, oh, that's it right there. Like that's the missed opportunity. And so I think a lot of people are stuck on $100,000 contracts and all the things. And y'all know that I'm down with that as well. But what's really behind those $100,000 contracts, it could be getting in the door and addressing whatever their need is right now, showing the value of something, because especially for some of the services that we provide, sometimes companies may not know the value that they can expect to see from it. So if you can get in and show them, a little something, enough for them to be able to say, oh, wow, we got great value out of that. Then they can look and say, all right, we can allocate some of our budget to, $50,000, $100,000, whatever it is, to continue to do this work. And because you've already came in and knocked it out the park, we're definitely going to throw all this business to your way. And now, again, you become a part of the line item. You become a part of the budget. But how did you do that? You listened to what the need was of the organization and co-created something to meet them at where they are. I cannot talk enough about how important it is to listen, how important it is to be of service, and how important it is to be flexible. It's not all about giving someone a box. It's not all about creating a $100,000 package and just going and selling that thing to, anybody who will listen. Sometimes it's about how can I approach this as that trusted partner? You guys hear me say that a lot. How can I be a trusted advisor and learn more about what they need so that I can craft something that gets a yes and gets me in the door? Now, I'm not saying go and undercut yourself and go do all these crazy things and get paid pennies. Not at all. How can you scale what you're doing back a little bit, what the deliverables are, what the time commitment is to meet the needs that they have and craft something unique for them? That's how you get a win. That's how you get a yes. So in that example that I gave you, I'm kind of just thinking probably what this person's process was is like, hey, well, I have this package that I do and, here's all that it includes. But what would have been a great opportunity is to set that aside, approach the conversation and say, what do you need? What are you looking for? What is the budget that you have for this? How many, it was for leadership development. Y'all know that's what I'm all into. How many leaders do you have? How many may be going through this? And gathering that information so that when you put the proposal together, it's like, here's everything that you told me. Here's, you already told me the budget. So I already know what's realistic that you're able to invest at this time. I'm giving you a price point at that level. I'm giving you everything that you shared with me, nothing of what's in my box and what I want to give you. But it's all about what you said you need and what I truly can deliver on. I feel that if it was approached in that way, it probably would have been a yes. But when we create these proposals in a vacuum or based on what we want to sell and what we want to do, that's when it goes from a win to a loss. That company had an opportunity where they were looking to spend some money, but it may not have been in line with what was being presented in front of them. And so then they just said, well, hey, don't worry about it. We'll continue doing what we're doing because we don't see the value in investing at that particular level. Get in, right? Solve one problem that they might have, one area that they might have. Another thing, this person might have went and created something. Again, she mentioned this being beyond the scope of what they need. Say they only have a handful of leaders and you're presenting something that's like for 50 leaders and up. It's a miss. And that shows in the conversation, you didn't gather enough information. You didn't ask the right questions because a proposal should never be a miss. It shouldn't. Because it's so late in the process, you should be sure to gather all the information that you need to create a yes. So if anything creates a winning proposal, it's your discovery call process and it's your overall sales process of how you're engaging with people, how you are asking the questions, leading them to giving you the information that you need and putting aside what you think you want to sell and what programs you've already created and just think about what's going to be the best solution for them. So that, I mean, we could close the live out on that for real. Because if you think from that perspective, and if you carry your discovery calls in that manner and ask specific questions about that, you get the timeline. My exit ticket is like, you need to understand the timeline, you need to understand the budget, and you need to understand the need. If you have all three of those things understood, there's no reason your proposal shouldn't move forward. The only thing is if something outside of the process happens, like, hey, the budget fell through, or hey, this thing came up, or whatever the case may be, things that you can't control. But out of what you can control, you've marked all the boxes. You got all your ducks in a row if you followed that process. And so that's huge, 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 making sure that you do that. And then the second part of this, the second, strategy that I'll give you, or the tip that I'll give you around this, is also presenting your proposal live. And so a part of this, as I mentioned, again, going back to my experience, when I really sat down and like opened the door again, I talked to y'all in the beginning about how I just kind of closed the door on all of that. And I'm just like, I'm done with this. I'm cleansing my palate of it. All the knowledge and all of that is just left there. That's how I was thinking. But when I reopened the door and I'm like, oh, like, yeah, I did live proposals. I did roadmap calls. Like I did all these things over several years that created success in this opportunity. These are the same things my community and my clients can be using as well. And so as I thought about that, I'm like, yeah, when I did proposals with clients, we met in person. And, I had my slides up and everything. We had dialogue and conversation. We were able to talk through their needs, the specifications that they had. We called them, why is the name escaping me right now? Like their install base, we had the timeline, we call it here, but we knew like when was the roadmap that they were looking to move forward. And, all those pieces that needed to be very clear, we knew all of that stuff. And that was a part of the conversations that I would be having with my corporate clients. So doing these things live help you be able to answer a lot of questions. I know sometimes it's like people will kind of shut it down and say, send me an email, or, send me this so I can be able to review it and all of those things. And while sometimes, that might be good, I would always still suggest having some live opportunity where you get to speak with them. And don't be afraid to do it in person, especially if it's local. I have a client right now that we actually talked over the weekend during her VIP day. And she's like, there's a school that's local to me that I actually think would be a good fit. And I'm like, well, do it in person. So don't be afraid of the in-person, first of all. But having that in-person or live experience where you walk them through the proposal and, kind of resurfacing everything that you've shared with them thus far and what you've put together for them allows them to ask you questions live. When you send something via email, and then even if you don't do it in person, do it on Zoom, right? Same live, in-person experience, but virtual. But if you just send it over, and I've actually had this happen before, even being as knowledgeable as I am about this space and having the career behind it, I have still made these mistakes. So I'm not sharing with you guys, I'm not presenting that I'm perfect in this in any way. I have still made mistakes, even after my experience, to where I've sent a proposal and I'm like, I should have, been a little bit more clear in my process here and had them on live, because I've done that. They've had, questions, or they've gone dark and it didn't go anywhere. So one of the key things that you can do, especially as you firm up on that discovery call process, is at the end, if you decide, hey, this is a good opportunity for me to put together a proposal. And again, I'm speaking from the experience that I have. If you have, a different process that you work through, if you get them on a discovery call and do a whole proposal right then on the call, follow that process. However, for me and my clients, what we do is we have a discovery call. We spend that time gathering the information that we need. And then we have a second proposal call where we will walk through everything that is shared. We're talking about doing large opportunities and large deals. And so it's not all going to happen right there on the dime. And so I prepare my clients to go through a process that aligns with how corporations make decisions. Typically, there's more than one decision maker that might need to be involved, even if it's just a quick run through of what they're doing. So everything may not happen right there on the dime. And so the discovery call process, we get to the opportunity, we understand the budget and things of that nature. And then we likely still will need to do a second call where we go through the proposal in detail. We invite other decision makers if they need to be there to hear it, field their questions, and be able to move the process forward to a yes. And so in that proposal phase, in that conversation, why you want to make sure that you do that live is because of what I just said. You can answer any questions that they have. You can validate, do I have this right? Is this still true? Did anything change? You know, getting all of that information right then, instead of having to go back and forth in email, or maybe in their mind, they might be thinking, oh, I saw this and I didn't really understand it. So again, I pushed it to the side. Making sure that you do that on the actual call is going to be super helpful for you. And then you'll know by the end of that call, like if it's a yes or no. It won't be an opportunity where you're like, they kind of ghosted me, or I don't know what's going on. If you get to that point in the sales process, if you follow this process that I'm telling you that works, that literally led to millions of dollars of sales, then you will follow this to the T and understand that once you get to that point, you should know what it is. It's either a yay or a nay. And I definitely recommend that piece as well, because again, when we talked about kind of sending the email and just letting it sit there, that's also how the process can continue to extend weeks or even months later, where it just could have been a simple get on a quick phone call and answer a few questions, and we can go ahead and move it forward. Corporate decision makers are busy. So when you get their time, making sure that you use the time wisely, but also not rush the process. Like, don't rush the process. I think a client of mine, she reached out to me the other day and she said, I'm glad that I didn't feel the need to have to move forward and give them a proposal when actually I didn't hear anything that, they were looking to move forward with right now. And that's also a part of saving your time, right? Why I suggest leaving the proposal to the end until you've really identified an opportunity and really have like, yes, I want to move forward. At least proposals take time to put together. We don't have time to waste. And so if it's the matter of you just needing to see my website or seeing what I'm doing and all of those things, that's fine. I don't need to do a proposal to do that. A proposal is for a very clear opportunity that I've identified that is timely, in budget, and addresses the needs that you say that you have at this moment. If you tell me this is something you're looking to do next year, it's no need for me to do a proposal right now. Sounds good. I explained to you a little bit of how we work. And of course, you have some additional resources to be able to look through, whether it's my website and things of that nature. Let's keep in touch on that timeline and make sure that as you're prepared and ready to budget for that opportunity, that we can prepare a proposal for you and ensure that it's in line with your needs. But we're not going to do that right now. Like, I switch out of character, but we're not going to do that at this very moment. And what I found is that if we try to put the cart before the horse and try to rush the process, sometimes we might end up disappointed. Sometimes we might end up feeling like we wasted time, and again, lowering our energy around this process because we've expended so much in some areas where there was nothing to really sow at that time, or nothing to reap at that time, rather. And so that's important to think about, because a lot of this process is going to require outreach. It's going to require following up. It's going to require spending time putting together proposals and things of that nature. And what I found is to lower the pressure. And again, I do things as the need arises. I don't create the need. I am here to capture the needs that are there. And so I think that that's a good mindset or a good theory to think about as you're in this process. You're here to capture the need. You're not forcing anybody to see anything. You're not forcing them to need your services or know that they need your services. You're just here to capture needs. Who has the need? Who already has the budget? Who has the understanding of this? I'm looking to be visible to those people and capture the needs. I'm not here to create a need. So that is a huge part of the energy management that I would think about in this process as well. All right. I hope that this was helpful for you guys. I, again, could talk about this all day long, but those key pieces are going to be really helpful to crafting a winning proposal. And it's not about what sections do I talk about, or where do I put this, or do I put this first, and all those things. That is like, something that y'all can just, look on the internet and find a template for a proposal. That's super easy. What I'm here to show you and what I'm here to tell you about is the things that they probably will not tell you that are actually stopping you from landing the opportunity or stopping them from even considering the conversation because they just ghost. So I'm here to stand in the gap of what's the elusive reason of why people ghost or why they tell you they're interested. And then you go and do all these things, but then suddenly everything changes. And it seems like there's a disconnect, something that you can't find out online as to why they did it. I'm here to be a vessel to let you know what is behind those things. And a lot of times it starts at the very beginning. Getting ghosted on a proposal is not just about what you sent at that time. It's about how you carried your process from the very first time that you interacted with them. Because if you change that, if you shift that, and you did the things that I shared with you today in your discovery call to focus on serving them, focus on hearing the need, focusing on understanding the timeline and the budget and the scope, because all of that means you have a winning proposal. It really wouldn't even matter if you put an executive summary first, or if you put, an about me section. All of that stuff really doesn't even matter. The point of the proposal is to get a gauge, is to get in writing exactly what they've shared with you and be able to deliver a solution. How it's, summarized or organized is a thought and is something to consider, but it's like icing on the cake. If the cake isn't good, which is the meat, which is actually what they need, the actual cake isn't good, doesn't matter what type of icing you put on it, it's still not going to work. But a good cake with, thin icing, it's still going to work, because at the end of the day, we came for the cake. And so that's the way that I would think about it. I think a lot of times we focus too much time on the icing, not enough time on the cake, not enough time on the ingredients that we put in before we even started baking the cake. Those are the things that are going to matter, and things that you want to think about as you're doing business with corporations is, how can I make the best ingredients work? How can I focus on my cake first? And everything else is just icing. And they like icing, but they more so concerned with the cake. Okay. All right. So I'm going to shift into the next phase of what we typically do these weeks. So, of course, if you just came for the information today, you are definitely free to log off. This was amazing, and I'll see you next week at 4 p.m. Eastern. However, if you're someone that's like, yes, this is good, but I don't like to just take information, I like to take action, and I know I need support in this area, then I definitely want to invite you to work with me in this particular arena, not only creating proposals, but just crafting an entire process to get more corporate contracts in your business that fills in these typical holes that are not Googleable, if that's a word. And really just the only way to understand it is by experience. And the great thing is, because I'm here and I've been through this process and I'm sharing it with you, and I've packaged different frameworks and ways to get success around this, you don't have to go and hit your head on several walls in order to be successful. You can collapse your time by following the things that I shared over my years of experience and be able to get success in your own right. So if that's something that you feel is a good time for you right now, this is the time where you're ready to get more contracts in your business and you need that support, I have an invitation for you. So the first thing I want to share with you is our signature offer is our VIP days. This is how clients initially began working with us, and it gives me a chance to give you the 3 parts of my framework customized to your business and how you work all in a half-day session. We just completed one last week and have a client that is signing up for July. So we are super excited to continue this way of working with people and giving the blueprint to execute literally in a day's time. And what that blueprint looks like is, first, we talk about your offers. And this has been probably the most transformative part of these VIP days, because I'm able to reimagine with the client of what an offer could look like for the corporate clients they want to serve. So I've worked with clients who want to work in the university space, nonprofit space, traditional corporate space, and even in the government space. And so what I'm able to do is look at your expertise. Remember, I said all the things we shut the doors on that we don't want to talk about anymore. We open those things up, and I'm able to look and say, okay, here's how you can actually take this and work with this particular market. Like, you're doing this here. I have a lot of people who work with entrepreneurs, and I'm like, well, we can just kind of talk about this or position this slightly differently, still do the same core work and position it with this organization who would pay 3-5 times more for your same expertise. And so that offer piece is definitely the first thing that we go through and what we spend a lot of time on to make sure you're set up for success to land the corporate contracts that align with your goals. The next piece is the marketing, which is my favorite, one of my favorite parts. The whole thing is my favorite, but that's definitely my favorite. I have a marketing degree. I have a whole business degree. And so understanding how people think in the psychology and, again, the wordsmithing, the positioning is what I love to do. And so a lot of that marketing, that phase is going through and installing the system that I've created that leverages LinkedIn and a few other tools to be able to identify your top companies that you want to work with or organizations that you want to work with. Who are those decision makers that you need to connect with, and how can you begin to deliver to get intel on them? So my whole theme around my brand and just in this offer in particular is treating it like a mission, right? We're looking for people that we can continue to help, and we're looking to get in the door with these organizations. And to make it fun, it's a mission. So we use these tools to be able to find that intel out and be able to put together a really good outreach plan to not only get in the door, but our first goal is to get them to get the email and read the email or answer the phone call or meet you in person or whatever that looks like. And so we go through and craft a marketing strategy specifically for you that you will leverage in order to get more leads into your business. And then the last piece is the sales. And so this is a lot of what we talked about today with the proposal process, the discovery call process, and just making sure in terms of after they say yes and they're ready to have a conversation with you, how do you begin planting the seeds to craft a winning proposal, right? Because I mentioned that's at the end, but it's all about the ingredients that you put in along the way. The discovery call, asking questions, having your assets ready to go, your capability statement, having a process for crafting a proposal, scheduling that meeting, and literally like these slight things, again, that can go between you actually landing an opportunity and closing it and them going ghost and going dark and you not knowing what happened. It's really slight things that you can do, so small, just like having that live call versus sending them an email, very slight. So we go through that process, and I give you an entire document that serves as essentially your SOP or your guiding document for how you will continue to run your marketing process and run your sales process. This is something you could pass on to your assistant or to other team members that may come on as you grow your business. So it's a true asset and blueprint that you can continue to use to land as many contracts as you want. And the best part about it is after we've gone through that day and you have your entire execution plan, I'm still on board with you for another 90 days to continue to support you as you're executing. So you'll be able to reach out to me. You'll be able to get my eyes on your calls or your emails, and we'll be able to course correct as needed to make sure you continue to get the success that you have set out and that you declared, which is a part of my overall framework that you've declared on our VIP day. And so that's what we'll do. And like I said, it includes, having that access to me. You get the day, you get the recording, all the things. You'll be set up for success to be able to land more corporate contracts in your business, whatever that looks like. If that's $100,000 contract or if that's 50, $5,000 contracts. I don't know. How many ever you want to do, you'll be able to leverage this process in order to generate the leads and close them. All right. So if you're interested in that, then what I would like you to do is DM me the letters VIP, and then we can see if you qualify for that. And just to let you know, the investment for the VIP is just $5,000. And so that answers one question that you may have. So we'll just go and make sure that you qualify. To qualify for the VIP day, essentially you have to have some type of expertise that you're looking to sell for at least $5,000 to $10,000 per contract. You again have that solid base of expertise that you've gotten results from. So you've taken people from point A to point B several times. You have a framework and process that you use to do that, and you can back that up with, the receipts, right? So you are a true expert in what it is that you do, and you are looking to do, contracts at a specific level, because corporations are not going to look at certain pricing. I've had people tell me they're looking to do $500 contracts, $1,000 contracts. The work that we do on my side of the house would not be a good fit, because we're really looking for people who are experts in their field and positioned to do business with corporations. And that starts with the right pricing strategy, which we can definitely help you to expand. But we need to make sure that you're at a great starting point in terms of your offers and what your goals are in terms of working with corporations. So that's number one. The second piece is that you need to have the ability or a team member to be able to execute the strategy. In order to get success, it has to be worked. So if you're someone who just likes to gather information and sit on it, this is definitely not for you. I'm sorry, it's not for you. This is for the people who are ready to move, who are like, give me the strategy, give me the process, and I can take it and run with it, whether it's me or my team members. This is how we're going to make it happen. So it's for people who are ready to go. And then finally, I'll say this is really for individuals that are not only just looking to get a contract here and there, but looking to really create a solid base of business and an entire model, a stream of income that is dedicated to corporate business. And why I say that is because, again, we're giving these strategies and even just thinking about the investment. This is for you to go and make an infinite return on your investment. And what I want to see and how I want to work with people is, again, those who are seeing this as an opportunity to create partnerships with corporations beyond just, something here and there, but really looking at growing this side of their business to a consistent arm, a arm of their business where they're generating a level of income that's anywhere from, 6 figures to even looking at $1 million contracts along the way. This VIP day is going to be the start to getting that process in place, and is really the open door to be able to working with me and my team moving forward in order to get support in this area. So that's like the level one. And that is pretty much what most people, again, start with. Now we are testing out a 2.0 of this VIP day. And this is my first time talking about it on the live series, where we will actually have some done for you lead generation outreach. And so I'm super excited about this, because a lot of people that I've talked with have been like, yeah, but I'm not going to be able to do this all on my own. And I'm like, well, I can't take on everybody. However, I've been able to come in partnership with some lead generation folks that'll actually be able to go out and do outreach on behalf of not only my company, but also for my clients. And so that'll be a 2.0 version of the VIP day, where you'll still get everything that I shared. But as an addition to that, you'll also get the strategy and onboarding of your own lead generation person that will go and send out those LinkedIn and email outreach messages for you, and start to get those book discovery calls on your calendar. So I'm excited about that 2.0 version of the VIP days. And I definitely want to begin to start to get folks in who are, again, qualified for that. So you definitely have to be at a level not only to make the investment, but again, to, thinking about what's your overall goal with corporate contracts. Is this an area of your business that you want to grow? And again, are you at the level where you can bring someone in to outsource this to? And so if you're interested in the 2.0 version, still DM me VIP and let me know that you're interested in done for you lead generation. And then we can talk about the investment for that piece and get you set up with that. So super excited for that. and looking forward to those of you who are looking for that additional support to get on with us, and let's start getting your opportunities closed even faster by having someone that's specifically focused on the lead generation part while you are doing all the other amazing things in your business. All right, I've talked enough. This was a great episode. I am looking forward to seeing you guys back here next week, 4 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday for our next, is next Wednesday a holiday? I think it might actually be the 3rd instead of the actual 4th. But either way, we will have some content here for you guys to be able to take away and leverage for our next episode, which will be here next week. All right, guys. See you next time. Bye.